Joining us to discuss human trafficking in Africa is an author with 6 books published to her credit. And out of those 3 books, several of them are on human trafficking. She is a certified trainer, a facilitator, and a counselor. She is presently the head of Intelligence and International Cooperation Unit of NAPTIP. Angela AGBAYEKHAI, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. All right. Also, we have in the studio a medical microbiologist by training and a social worker by practice, founder, chief executive officer of Save the Child Initiative Nigeria, a former national coordinator of West African Network for the Protection of Children on the Move, a sub-regional mechanism for the protection of vulnerable children and young migrants moving across the border in West Africa. ABDULGANIYU ABUBAKAR, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening for having me. Good evening, viewers.
All right. So, Angela, we're going to start with you. The issue of human trafficking in Africa, how bad a menace really is it?
The issue of human trafficking, no doubt, is very bad.
Okay.
Both in Africa and even destination countries like Europe.
Yeah.
It's a global menace, and every country is affected one way or the other.
Okay.
So it's bad.
All right. In terms of ABDULGANIYU, I'm going to ask you the same question. How bad is really? Do you have figures? I mean, how many people? How bad is it really in Africa? Is it something we should be concerned about? Is it something, no, just one of those things that happen? How bad is it?
Yeah, it is very bad. If there is a word or phrase to use more than very bad, we should use that, because this is something that affects a lot of our children, young men and women who are very vibrant, energetic, and who have a lot of potentials to contribute to national development, being wasted across transit and destination location in West Africa. I just came back from Mali 6 days ago. The very day we arrived, we lost 6 Nigerian girls in the ghetto.
Are you serious?
Yes. 2 days before 6. 2 days before then, we lost 8.
What?
They were given mass burial because no one could identify their families. No record. No any information of sort to be able to identify where exactly they are coming from. But of course, they are Nigerians. So I was in Mali 6 days ago. I saw it happen. Before then, I had been in most of these West African countries, particularly the transit locations, and I can tell you it is very bad.
I'm going to come back to you more of your experience. And Madam, you've been with NAPTIP for quite a while. So yes. I want you to give us some of the on-hand experiences of this issue. What he said now, I'm literally just shaking from the sheer horror of it. Give us some the NAPTIP experience. You've brought back several returnees. How has it been? Okay,
thank you so much. What my brother here just said is just a tip of the iceberg, I can tell you. It's a very terrible situation we find ourselves when it comes to human trafficking. It will amaze you to know that just last year, between January and March, we repatriated 3,980 something girls and men from just one country, Saudi Arabia, within 3 months.
3 months?
And as I speak, we still have a lot of them in Saudi Arabia.
That's over 1,000 people per month.
Yes. And in Mali, in particular, there was this fact-finding team put in place in 2017. We have over 20,000 girls in Mali alone.
20,000?
So that is to give you an idea what the country is saddled with.
This is not a menace. This is an epidemic.
Yes, it is.
A pandemic, in fact.
I agree with you, really.
Oh, wow.
So the situation is bad.
ABDULGANIYU, what, in your experience, you've been involved in this thing quite a bit, traveling back and forth. What category of people are usually trafficked the most?
Thank you. Mostly children below 18. Yeah. Sometimes as young as 6, 7. And then we have young men and women between the ages of 22 to 33. And then from experience, these are young people who are skilled. They are either hairdressers, they are barbers, they are fashion designers, they are footballers, people who are skilled in areas that they should ordinarily use to contribute to national development, but are lured in the name of searching for greener pasture in major countries of the world, but particularly using a lot of these countries of West Africa sub-region as transit locations. In the last 17 years, I have had the opportunity of working in a mechanism called the West African Network for the Protection of Children, where I coordinated Nigeria and then working with 15 countries of ECOWAS. And in the first 6 months of our intervention, we received, just from Niger Republic alone, 386 Nigerian children and young men and women.
Niger Republic?
In Niger Republic, just the next door neighbor to Sokoto. I live and work from Sokoto State. 386 in less than 6 months when we had the pilot intervention. That was in 2011. And then the number kept increasing. And a lot of these young men and women come from the south part of Nigeria, traveling all the way from Edo, Delta, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, coming to Sokoto and taking the route from Sokoto to Ilela, from Ilela to Kwani, from Kwani to Tawa, and then they end up in Agadas. We followed this route. We had a study visit to Niger Republic where we followed this route where these Nigerian young men and women are trafficked through. So we saw it all, including the time we lost over 50 young people at the desert in Agadas. I think we were in Agadas then with a team from NAPTIP zonal office in Benin, the head office, and some traditional rulers from Edo State. We took them all the way to Agadas to see the plight of their children. We visited the ghettos where these Nigerian young girls are used as sexual slaves. It is so bad. In March 2021, I received a request from our partners in Mali. We call the organization War Against Human Trafficking, requesting the Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor, which I currently head, to support the return of these 15 Nigerian girls who ran away from their traffickers. These 15 are lucky because they ran away. Some of their other colleagues were not lucky.
More lucky to do so. We'll get more into that. Now, Angela, I'm going to ask you, the syndicate. Tell us about the syndicate, the way you, NAPTIP has busted syndicate after syndicate, arrested, trafficker after trafficker. Tell us about the syndicates, the way they operate, and the psychology, because I find it rather disturbing that someone would sit down comfortably and sell a 7-year-old, 9-year-old child, even a full-grown man or woman, and go home and sleep and have a good night. Yeah,
that is very true. Now, when you say the syndicates, I want you to know that the crime of human trafficking is clandestine. And because it is very difficult to nip this crime in the bud. And it is not one person who carried out this operation. Where my job stops, the next man takes over, and the next one takes over, and the next one takes over. And so that is how they operate. And so as law enforcement, when you are going after one of them, they hand over to the next group, and you are focusing on this one. Meanwhile, the second group has taken it up, and they're already running with it, and they do their bit and run, give it to the next person. And so it's a network, actually. And so they have a way of doing their thing. As we are sitting here now talking about human trafficking, I can assure you they are also sitting somewhere in a room planning how to take a step ahead of the law enforcement agency so that they don't get caught. So it's a very terrible thing happening, but law enforcement were on our feet, and we're also trying to ensure that we catch them. And presently the Director General of the agency, of whom I'm representing here today, Dr. Fatima Waziri Azi, who is unavoidably absent to be here, she has put certain things in place to ensure that this time around we go after the high-profile cases. We want to use men in positions who are in this crime so that people can learn from it. Human trafficking affects everybody, the young, the old, the boys, the girls, everybody. Even those that have masters can be trafficked. So it is not just a one-off thing you just look and say, okay, this is the area we should focus. So we tend to look at everything holistically.
Okay. The more you talk, the more speechless I become, because we're not talking about things here. I like pets, I like dogs. We're not talking about your pet, your dog, your cat, that you usually care for. We're talking about human beings here, and they are being traded like they are non-living things, like they're just cattle or something like this. This is very heartrending. Abduganiyu, I'm going to ask, still pushing on this question that she was answering. the messaging, why are we not able to win the messaging on against trafficking? Why do the young people still feel there is an opportunity, and when the traffickers speak they hear opportunity, when the government speak they often hear restriction? So why are we losing that battle, or why are we not winning? I won't say we're losing, but why are we not clearly winning that battle, and what can we do?
As much as we should be winning, exactly. Now, first of all, trafficking in person is a transnational organized crime. It is not just something that happens in a community or locality or a country. Virtually every country of the world is affected in one way or the other. It is one of the largest criminal industries in the world and controls a lot of resources. So you have cartels who have access to resources so much. And then, of course, like she said, there are also high-profile individuals who are behind these traffickers, who are always there to support them with resources when it comes to litigation. And then, of course, there are so many reasons why young people tend to listen to them. There is high rate of poverty in the land. And then occasioned, of course, by the several recessions, Nigeria had a lot of young people lost their employment. Then uneven distribution of resources, rural-urban migration. Our rural communities are still not good enough for our young people to strive to realize their potentials. So if you look at the statistics of a lot of young men and women who are trafficked, you find out that they come from rural communities. They are recruited largely from rural communities, and then you will be surprised that these young people have skills. In one of the set of young men and women we identified in Sokoto along Ilela-Kwani border, there are about 43 of them, all of them carrying duly signed passports. One of them is a nurse, is a registered nurse, having $1,000 with him. That was as far back as 2012. So if I'm a registered nurse working for a government facility and I'm able to raise up to $1,000 as at 2012, so what am I going to look for in Niger Republic or maybe in Libya? So that was the experience of that young man.
Before we were talking, before the program started, and we were talking about the Mali situation. So, Madam, let's take up the Mali situation and talk about, and when you talk about it, the issue of transit routes and how people are deceived into ending up. So, let's talk about the Mali situation.
Okay, the Mali situation is bad, very bad. And I want you to know that Mali is a transit country. And when the traffickers are taking these young girls, they are not telling them they are taking them to Mali. They give them the impression we are going to Italy, we're taking you to Germany, we're taking you to Spain. And then when they get to Mali, they dump them there. Of course, the average trafficker wants to maximize profit. And so they dump them there and start, the exploitation starts even before they get to the destination country. And so that is why you see Mali, this has been one of the destination countries now. It's a transit country, but it has become a destination country because that is where you dump them. And Mali used to be a country where they harbor girls or goods for onward transmission. And so when they saw that the exploitation strives, they decided to just leave them there and make use of whatever they can get from Mali. So the situation in Mali is so bad that even when the present ambassador was to report there, he actually visited NAPTIP. And we all agreed to have a working relationship, which we have started already, because he cannot do it alone. NAPTIP cannot do it alone as well. And so we need to join forces with him to ensure that this is done. Like I said earlier, in 2017, when the fact-finding team went, it was reported back that we have over 20,000 girls. 20, and it will amaze you that these girls are actually in suburbs, very bad conditions. And it's something really that the Nigerian government is already looking into. Because even when we went to Niger, it was also discussed at one of the outings there that there was need to, visit these endemic countries to bring back our girls. And so preparations is already ongoing.
Okay, because that's exactly what I was going to ask. And we know we have 20,000 people there. We need to bring them back. Why are they not back tomorrow morning? Why is it? Its preparations are on. All right, so Abduganiyu, you just came back from Mali about not up to a week ago, just barely about a week ago. Tell us about your experience and the things that happened.
Thank you. Like I said, our partners in Mali had written to the national network requesting for our support to return these 15 young girls who actually escaped from their traffickers. And out of these 15, one of them had a 3-year-old child whom she gave birth to while in captivity. And then 2 of these girls are pregnant, 5 months pregnant. We came back together, brought them back together. They are still in NAPTIP facility now, undergoing counseling and trauma management before they are integrated back to their communities. And like I said, we lost about, between our living Nigeria and arriving in Mali, we lost about 15 girls. 15. Some of them we are giving mass burial because they could not identify where they come from. And there was a particular Nigerian girl who was set ablaze in the house, in the ghetto, yes, where she was plying her trade by one of her customers. He had actually come, and then maybe for one reason or the other, he wasn't satisfied, and he just put fire in the huts, and then she got burnt in that very place. So there is so much lawlessness, exploitation, and dehumanization going on in Mali. And it will interest you to know that Mali is no longer just like a transit destination, but now a destination for trafficking in persons. A lot of Nigerian girls, we had interaction with the Nigerian community, we were at the embassy, we had some time with the Nigerian ambassador, who also complained bitterly and who is looking at possibilities of going into partnership with different actors to ensure that these Nigerian girls are identified and returned back to Nigeria. But it's also interesting that a lot of them don't want to come back. They feel okay.
They don't want to come back.
Exactly.
Madam Hasta, I was going to ask next, and maybe you start with that, but I was going to ask you next to talk about rehabilitation. What's the NAPTIP process when they come back? But could you start first with the issue of these people not wanting to come back despite the situation?
Yes, what he just said is very true. They don't want to come back from experience for so many reasons. First of all, stigmatization. Secondly, they've been there for years. They've not put anything together, so what are they coming back with? Thirdly, their families think they are abroad doing so well, and so the shame to come back is there. So they don't want to come back. And they now ask you a question, even when we come back, what are we coming back to? What have you put in place for us to return to? Let me quickly share an experience I had when I went to Niger. A 21-year-old girl was traumatized for 7 months while in Agadez. And in 7 months, of course, she didn't eat. She didn't even know where she was. She couldn't speak. She couldn't do anything. We had to bring her back to Nigeria with us because there's no way we would have let such a person there. And she stayed in a NAPTIP shelter for about 5 months, where she went through a lot of treatments, medical treatments, counseling, and today she's been reunited with her family because she was able to come out of trauma. And so talking about the kind of rehabilitation we give to them, we give them psychosocial kind of counseling. We let them know that all is not lost. Yes, they've lost something, they can start all over again. There's so much we put together. We make sure that the environment where they stay is habitable. We also make them learn skills, vocational skills. And for those of them that want to go to school, we also ensure that we collaborate with our partners to put them back in school. And it interests you that we have, over the years, employed about 3 returned victims that we sent to school and also employed them. So a lot of them have been sent to school while they are with us in the rehabilitation center.
All right, so I'm going to ask ABDULGANIYU and Madam, you will also round up with that question. How do we win this war? How do we move forward?
Thank you. First of all, I want to call on the government of Nigeria. They have the primary responsibility to ensure the safety of life and property, as well as protection for Nigerian children and young people. So the government needs to take this responsibility very seriously. The federal government should also fund NAPTIP and other ministries, departments, and agencies that have anti-human trafficking mandates. What is happening out there is not giving Nigeria a good name at all. We need to do something about it very quickly.
All right, I'm going to ask this just off the cuff while he was talking, it occurred to me. Does NAPTIP and other government agency have a counter syndicate unit that is made up of young people who think like the way these syndicate people think? Because in my experience, law enforcement think like law enforcement, and the criminals think like the criminals, young enterprising looking for. Do we have a unit that is mimicking what these people are doing, so we have some way of countering their messaging? If you go to a lot of these people, from what I found out, they are trafficked through job opportunities. So opportunity is the key way, and the advertisement for this opportunity is catchy. When we come to a lot of the government anti-trafficking messaging, it's very don't go, this is dangerous. It is not as captivating as this. So what can we do in that regard as we round up? What's going on in that regard so that we can also win that war?
Okay, for us in NAPTIP, the intelligence unit actually, we do something very similar with what you just described. We play along, that's how we call it.
Fantastic.
We play along, we pretend that we are actually, you know, victims, or we want to travel, and we have been able to use that to nip so many of these traffickers, you know, because they open up to tell us, okay, meet me here, pay this and all of that, and we are able to apprehend them. And just to also add to what my brother said in terms of a way forward in fighting human trafficking, you know, because the crime is clandestine, like I said earlier, there is need to do a lot of public enlightenment. It will amaze you that a lot of Nigerians, even as at today, still do not know what human trafficking is all about. They do not know the indicators. They do not know how it comes. And it's so funny because traffickers are able to get these vulnerable victims even through families. Yes. And you know, families are one of the people you trust. Oh, this is my auntie, I want to take you to town. This is my friend, you know. So we need a lot of public enlightenment. People need to know what is going on. People need to know the indicators so that when they see it coming, they will be able to know, oh, this is a sign of human trafficking.
Thank you very much. My guests have been Angela AGBAYEKHAI, International Cooperation Union, NAPTIP, and ABDULGANIYU ABUBAKAR. He is the National President, NACTAL. It was very engaging to have both of you, and we look forward to having you some more so that we can spread more enlightenment on this particular issue. All right, so we've had a few social media messages. We have one from Teni. She says, Lensonafrica, you are the best. Thank you, Teni. You are the best viewer too. We have a couple of others. We have Ebuka. Ebuka is calling. Richie sending a message from Enugu. So I can't wait to watch the next episode. Keep giving us the best episodes after episode. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Ebuka. All right. We have Zainab from Taraba. Zainab from Taraba, and she says she looks forward to our program. Thank you. Well, it's been an hour too short, and from the producers, the directors, and the rest of us, this is saying, see you same time next week. Make Africa proud.